Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So, this is actually the first video of 2020, and we're back with the Windows 98 machine and the lap dock. I haven't got everything that I need. I haven't got the coin cell battery for the inside of this thing, but I do have a different cable. Now, this is a DVI-D to HDMI cable. I don't know if I mentioned it in the last video, probably did. But the DVI adapter that I was using, one of the pins broke off. And I figured, well, maybe that's why it's not working. But there might be a different reason for that. I'll go into that, whether this works or not, afterwards. But suffice it to say, the pin that broke off shouldn't have anything to do with it. And actually might say a lot about what the actual problem is. So, yeah, while we don't have the coin cell, it'll still work to actually set this up. If it does. I may still have to break out the VGA, which... come to think of it, I don't think I have one which is actually conveniently placed. I'm probably going to have to go in drawers or in the big box of cables you can just see right there. But first of all, what I would like to do is put you on the tripod, and then we'll look over to the lap dock and we'll see if this idea is going to work. Hopefully I don't have to reseat the CPU a third time. I probably need to run some switch cleaner into that, but yeah, let's go. Okay, so, hello. 3, 2, 1. Made a pop, that sounds more positive. Oh yeah! That appears to work. Perfectly. Let's actually just tilt the screen for you. So yeah, this adapter is... shite. I think we'll deal without that. So, let's see if this actually goes into setup, because of course it says that because the CMOS battery is dead. Completely dead as a dodo. So, let's press del. Oh yes. It's working, folks. So let's just go down this list of things. So, I have no idea what I'm doing. That's obviously wrong. Right, so does it go up to it? Yes, it does. Time is, give me a second, 20 to 7 on the dot, so that needs to go to 18. I've just got my phone out there. Oh, 18. 40. Perfect. I think. That's fine. Okay, ID primary master. We have this one, so I am assuming manual. This could be a slight problem because I don't think you're supposed to put that on here. But that's not a problem. I mean, it detects it anyway, so... oh god. Ooh, I think this is literally only... well, we need that on anyway. Right, let's just get out of here. Primary slave. ID primary slave. More investigation is required. Showing all the memory, which is good. Advanced BIOS features, virus warning. CPU internal cache enabled. First boot device. Now this could be a slight problem because... right. This doesn't have any ability to boot off the internal card because this thing, the PC, has an actual PCI card with a SATA device on it. I don't think that's going to work. Oh boy. Shit. We'll come back to that. Second boot device. Well, we can set that as the CD-ROM for sure. That doesn't actually matter. Third boot, LS120. Are you serious? Yeah, we'll set that as that one. Boot other device enabled. I hope. I want to turn on smart because that's going to be like an internal monitoring system. I don't know what this is, or that is, or that, or that, or that, or that. These are memory locations. more than likely. Advanced chipset features. Holy crap. Well, it's got AGP 4 times. Whether or not the card is, I haven't a damn clue. Basically, there's a lot of boring settings. I'm actually boring you intensely, so I'm just going to look around for the settings which may control booting off a PCI device. So I'll be back once I've discovered that. Well, I've been fiddling around with it just a little bit. I've configured the BIOS as much as I could, and then I decided to see what would happen if I saved it and then restarted. And it seems to have actually kept the settings. So I'm just wondering if maybe that it still showed the checksum error because it hadn't been powered in a while and there was so many changes to the system that it just needed to reset the BIOS and have somebody reprogram it. Because, for example, you can do like a restart. So if I just do Control-Alt-Delete, it even shows the startup screen for that. And then it goes through its usual stuff. But it does say that the floppy disks have a problem. I did notice that none of them are lining up, and the emulator's got a constant, 3 9s or 3 0s, I can't remember what it is. Could be that the floppy connectors are literally flipped around the wrong way. That's easy enough to solve. But look what happens when I do F1. That is the boot ROM of the SATA card. So it does seem to be finding it somehow. Of course, there's nothing on the other end of it, so it can't really use it. So maybe what I need to do is perhaps try and install something today, because it clearly does seem to be saving settings. Maybe the BIOS battery's okay. Maybe I can actually go ahead and install Windows 98 on this. I think I'll do that. I mean, this is going to keep cycling, of course, because it's trying to boot from the network that doesn't exist. So let's turn it off for the moment and let's get it in a better position. Although maybe not so fast. Yeah, I just completely powered off the system and pulled the power, and it literally only retains the memory for the time that the power is in. So clearly, yeah, okay, new BIOS battery, because I mean, if we just go to delete and we look at the clock, it's back to January 1st of 2000. So scratch that thought. We're going to wait a little bit. I'm going to buy some more batteries because I don't actually have any, and then we'll pick this up hopefully in only a couple of days, because yeah, I want to see this thing work, damn it. And so do you, I hope. Well, it's a couple of days later and I have the battery. Not quite a new one. I actually pulled this from the old PC because pretty much it's out of commission, and well, it will be in commission one day. There's just so much that needs to be done to it. I just find it much easier to pull this one. I couldn't be bothered to buy any or wait for it, even though it has been a couple of days and it probably would have arrived by now. But anyway, I'm going to use some special tweezers, although they're not really, and to try and pull this battery so we can install a new one. Old battery out. This Sony has seen better days. Sorry, dude. And in with the, well, second-hand New Sun. I've never heard that brand either, but hold on. Get in. Slightly worrying, but okay. The new BIOS battery is in, so I think we should get this PC set up. Okay, so we have keyboard connected, lap dock is ready. Let's turn it on and see if this battery's any good. I mean, it should be. Yeah, it seems okay. Everything will be reset to defaults, obviously, so I shall have to redo them. Let me just bend that screen for you. Actually, was it better this way? Possibly. Yep, CMOS checksum error, defaults loaded. Not a problem, because we just pressed that. I think first what I'm going to do is I'm just going to just alter the date and time, because, you know, because if it keeps the date and time and I pull the power and it works again, then that's, you know, perfect. We'll just continue to program the rest, and I won't do that for you because it's going to take a long time Okay, should do it. Looks like it's about the right time, so if I press F10, it should save. I mean, it'll come up initially with it at least. It's quicker that time. No issues. Okay. Detects the SSD. Excellent. So it's going to try and boot, of course it can't, there's nothing there. It's trying the PXE thing from the network card. Yeah, so that's fine, so we'll just turn it off. And we'll try the other experiment. Alright, it's been sitting for just a little bit of time. Only a few seconds, and of course I pressed the on switch a couple of times to make sure everything was discharged. Power is back in, and we're starting up again. And it's retained the time. That is fantastic. So yep, that battery works. I'll just set the thing up a bit and I'll just show you another boot to make sure it goes all the way through, and then I'll explain a few things about some other stuff that we just saw there. Okay, so that's all set up now. Finally it's going to save everything I tell it. So starts up, option ROM for graphics card, does the usual memory check, or it will do. Floppy disk seek, that probably works now. And it goes straight into booting off that. Now it runs through, it sees the SSD, then it goes to network card option ROM, which I've got to shorten that delay. But then it tries to go straight on to booting up. Notice there are no IRQ conflicts with the mass storage controller. Can't boot from CD-ROM because that's the second thing, there's no hard drive to boot from initially anyway. Fantastic, so at least gets to the point, it seems to be fine. So it should work now. So one of the things actually, if you go back, if you remember when it showed the Hypertech SSD, which is what I'm using I will be using to boot this thing off, it didn't do that before, and indeed I had problems with the option ROM coming up, and there was actually a cabling issue which I'll show you in just a few moments, but I managed to fix that, so that's no longer an issue. So I'm glad all that works with a new battery. That's brilliant. But you can still hear the problem, can't you? These fans are really noisy. Now I have unplugged them before, and the power supply fan is also very noisy. This one, you know, not so much, but it does have some noise about it. But I may have a way to fix that. I have these low noise adapters or fan speed reducers. There's this rather colourful looking one. Or there's this nice convenient one. I can't remember what that came with. I honestly can't. I think it came with a fan off a different PC. I'm not actually sure, but it's nice and slim and black. I think it possibly came with maybe the Arctic fan that's in the front here. I'm not really sure. But I've got to, unfortunately... Oh, do I really have to pull the graphics card out again? Well, I might not do, because this is fairly stiff, so I can probably just push it down in there. Also, from the boot screen, if you've been looking, you may realise that the other drives are on a secondary. That's because I pulled this when I was trying to figure out some cabling for some other thing, and well, as you can see, the heatsink does overlap and I couldn't get it back in. So I'll try to do that, and I'll also try to do the fan connector and see if that makes any difference to the noise, because I sure as hell don't want this by my feet making all that noise. Okay, so I've put that one in because unfortunately the splitter I'm using is meant for a 4-pin, and well, the other one's a 3-pin. Let's try it out. Kind of a bit quieter, I don't really know. What do you think? Definitely it seems less quiet, but I can tell that this is now the culprit. This is really, really loud. I think I'll just leave it like this. It's still better, at least. And something else I did is I just strapped up one of these other cables just to get it out of the way a little bit. I mean, the whole thing's really tidy, but I'll just show you that cable thing I did. The cable from here, as you can see, is a bit longer. It's actually looped behind here, and there's now a right angle pointing down. That was because the Hypertech SSD that's in there wasn't being recognised by the card. Like, it would come up, the option ROM would, then it would disappear. on like a subsequent boot. And what I was finding was because I did disturb the cable, I'd unplugged it and plugged it back in for some reason. I think I was just moving it out the way. But it was pulling down on this port here. And that's not so good. In fact, actually the end of the plug was bending just about there. I think it was making bad connection, which, you know, is not good. So I got a longer cable with a right angle adapter and just looped it around the back here, and it's cable tied. But there's so much slack on this that it's not causing any problem for the SATA card. Well, I think we should actually get on and install, but I just have one thing to say about that. I did try the usual thing of using my Zalman, which is this thing. It does not work whatsoever. There's nothing in the BIOS to actually select to boot the thing from USB. It's an old enough motherboard that it just doesn't support that. Now there's a couple of things I've got which may help us, but I may actually have to burn a disk. And I don't think I've burned a disk in the better part of half a decade properly. I think I've erased a disk maybe. I honestly don't know. I can't remember. So that'll be a nice fun thing to reminisce about, I guess. Okay, so we have the PC set up. I've just put it over here for a change, but unfortunately my laptop battery went. So we have it plugged up to the KVM, like this. I've been running some tests, and I may have run into a bit of a problem. Now, it could be in terms of like, I just need to get a better version of a boot disk, or the optical drive is buggered. But I found this little thing. Now this is actually an original startup disk that was made probably the better part of 20 years ago, maybe 15 or whenever, you know, this was last year. So we did have a few family friends who were still using Windows 98 up to probably the mid-2000s. That's insane. I wouldn't have even... No, I couldn't deal with it after that point. When I got XP, everything got better for me, honestly. That's actually my dad's handwriting. So yeah, this is an original boot disk, but we've had some issues with it. What I can do is stick you on the tripod and we'll go through exactly what was attempted. I showed this to my dad and he was like, he came in to assist, and we had a good time trying to get it to work, but it just wasn't happening. So yeah, I'll just show you in a bit. Okay, so we're all set up and here's the boot disk. We're going to attempt to use it. And I'll show you what happens. So, Control-Alt-Delete. Alright, so this doesn't matter because at least for the moment we're not trying to do much. But I will select this one just to show you what happens. I may have to use one of the other boot disks I have because this does have some error in it. Like, it will say at some point that it can't read it, but it's still, the bits we need first of all are actually there. Okay, so if I just go the IR, everything we need, you'd think, would be here. Format.exe is not. I'm not sure why. It could be that this boot disk is wrong, but apparently it was created in the year 1999, so yeah, it is over 20 years old. Okay, so fdisk is what we need to try first, obviously. Now we've already gone ahead and formatted the disk, or tried to. So if we go in there, so if I just show you everything I've got, it sort of shows it. Now, I should probably watch some videos on this. I have seen it before, and it would be useful to refer back to that. But I don't know. Does that look right? So if we go to number 2, if I try to set active partition, this is the thing that I get. Only partitions on drive 1. Well, when we look at drive 1, if I just go back to here, oh no, that's not it. 5. Yeah, partition 1 is 96 megabytes. What is this disk 1? Like, literally, what is that? It could be that the partition on the disk is incorrect, and it's split it into 2 partitions for some reason. But that's probably what it is. I'm probably going to have to format the disk externally, but other people do this, and they don't have problems, so why am I having problems? I don't know. I haven't done this like in a long time, and I've probably only done this once or twice when installing virtual machines. It's much simpler in more recent versions. But the thing is, if I just exit out, let's test the optical drive functionality, because when we try to load from a genuine, my dad had like a genuine Windows 95 disk, just to check it out, it didn't seem to want to read it. I'll just show you what I mean. Now this is just some old software. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's a disk, you know. So this will prove a point if I just open the drive, put that in there. So for example, you would normally do dir. So if you just shift over to the E drive, I think it was E that it mentioned. Hope so. dir. Volume and drive E has no label. Well, you can clearly see it. I don't know. So I'm going to abort that. Let's try. D was the RAM disk though, wasn't it? Yeah. Hold on. Format.com. Wait a second. We might actually have it. Huh. Yeah, clearly I need to brush up on how to do this. Good God. Back in a sec. I've been looking at a few guides from Phil's Computer Lab and a few other things. He recommends a tool called Super F Disk, which basically is something that launches on the machine in question. You just boot it directly, but I seem to be having trouble booting this directly in either case. Either getting it from a boot disk and then trying to load the CD-ROM. Could be that my CD-ROM drive is just not supported. I do have a spare one in the cupboard for a different project. I might bring that out. But I'm going to retry booting directly using other boot disks to see if that makes any difference at all. It's a bit late tonight though, and someone's messaging me, so I think we'll leave this till tomorrow. But we'll come back and we'll try that after I've burned the disk. I've been trying quite a lot to just figure out how the hell you do this. It's been a long time since I've done anything like this. Yeah, nothing's ever easy. See you tomorrow. Okay, it's tomorrow now, and we have our boot disk on this shiny verbatim CDRW. Certainly hope that works, because I don't know if these work in that drive, or if they'll work in the other drive that I have to use. Right, let's get it going. Oh. Now, I can't remember what setting I actually left this in, so it may boot off the disk. I may have to adjust the BIOS, don't know. No. Let's try something different. Right, so there's a few things that have been swapped around in the BIOS. It's not working. God damn it, I don't know what it is. I'm starting to think the old optical drive just is not going to work at all. But I think the easiest thing to do is just plug the other one in and see if that's recognised. Okay, here it is. So this is meant for a different project. I've probably opened it up backwards, but... oh no, it's perfect. This is a slot loading CD drive, and have a look on the top. Gold Star branded, although I was instructed that this came from a compact. Oh, it actually does say there. So this is quite old, quite a bit older than the CDRW that's actually in there. So hopefully it's just a case of the optical drive is not being picked up by the BIOS because there's something weird about it. I don't see why. It reads CDs and writes them, but yeah. This should work. If it doesn't, we may have a different issue on our hands, which I'm kind of stumped about, really, if that's the case. I kind of feel like we've been here before. Do you think? Maybe. It seems very reminiscent. Right, maybe I should use the old foot method. I took it. Whew. Oh, just spat it out. I'll just push that back in. Had spat it out again. Take it back in. Thank you. Son of a bitch. Why won't you take the CD? Okay. Let's try this with a boot disk. Okay, boot floppy has been reinserted. It will boot into that, and then we'll see if this is any different. But I'll only come back if that actually is. We may have to use yet a different optical drive, or I don't know. And would you look at that? It works. All I had to do was get my old DVD drive out of a previous PC, which is IDE, an NEC unit, and this one works. I did come across some information on a website. It did say something about the fact that the TAPI driver that loads on this for CD-ROM support may not support all optical drives, but there you go, it works. I'm going to have a quick look in the tools, see if there's F-disk in there. Oh no, that's not how you do that. Okay, so I may have made a blunder there. So if we choose setup, we should be able to run that now. Oh. I don't know what that is. Let me try this again. No, that's broken. So seeing as that didn't work, what I'm going to try doing is booting this directly, because with the other two drives they couldn't boot directly either, so this one got further than the other two. Maybe it could do this. I'm just going to knock this out, or maybe I should just make... Yeah, I'll make that the CD-ROM. I'll knock this one and make that disabled, and also disable that one. Boot other device. Yes, let's have that. Let's do this. Fingers crossed, eh? Here we go. Ooh. Hey, boot from CD-ROM. I like it. Go on, let's do it. Start Windows 98 setup from CD-ROM. Yeah. Let's do that. Looks like maybe not. Error in exe file. Okay. So let's just try running it this way. Now this is where we kind of failed last time. It's going to run a routine check on the system. That's where it freaked out. It's still going to freak out. I'm going to leave it just to see what it does. It might finish, it might not. Well, this is the kind of error I'm getting at the moment. It doesn't work at all now. It either just freaks out or it freezes on the actual test page. And I got an error before, but when you actually tell it what the problem is, if I just press... Oh, I can't do that, so if I do F, error in exe file. So it could be that this is corrupt, or the image that I've used just doesn't work, but I did find out something interesting. I don't know if you can see that, but the edge of the disk, the data layer, has rubbed off. And I don't know where, well, there's other little spots, like tiny little pinprick holes in this disk which are visible. I mean, it looks like a fairly beat up CDRW. I didn't really want to waste a disk, although having actually seen my disk collection, I've got enough. I think I'll just break out one of the, I call them disposables. They are the cheapest CDRs you've ever seen. If you try hard enough, you can scratch the data layer off with your finger. And I don't even have fingernails, so even I can remove it. So this disk is a dud, possibly. CD's burnt. Let's see if it works. I bet it doesn't. Okay, off we go with that. Disk looking much cleaner. Is ready to go. Come on, we haven't got that much time. Right. Please work. Oh yeah, I'm tethered because the camera's about to die. It's booting. Booting. Failure. What? Well, some success. I used the boot disk. Now, I did come across something on a website which says that not all 98 disks are bootable. And I did re-download a different ISO this time, which said full retail on it. I think the one I had before, judging by the file name, because it came from WinWorld PC anyway, could have been the OEM version, and that might be bootable from the CD. But it couldn't boot directly, but I've found it here. So let's try that. See if that's any better. Right, this is the point where it failed. That honestly looks like a RAM issue. Give me a second, I have one idea what that could be. Right, just taking one RAM stick out. It could be that it's having a problem with the amount of RAM, or that there is some other issue going on there. Let's try it now. No, same thing happens. It doesn't seem to be corrupting anymore, but it just seems to lock up. Like if I do this, that's completely dead. I don't know what's going on here. Like, am I actually doing something wrong? This is actually beginning to annoy me a little bit. It does say that much free, which, however many bytes that is in gigabytes, I'm pretty sure I've got more than that there. I don't know. I'm going to try a couple of other things, but I might have to just call it a night, to be honest. I can't get it working. This is just annoying, so I've had enough for tonight. I'm going to sit on this for a few days while I just try and remedy the situation, and we'll be back whenever we're back. I'll edit this whole thing up, throw it up. If anybody watches this and has any ideas what I'm supposed to do, please tell me, because this is just annoying the heck out of me. It seems to get to that screen where it checks things, and then it corrupts completely. Like, you get weird characters, as you probably saw earlier, there's like weird colours sometimes. So I'm done with this, because it's just annoying me. So, good night, and thanks for watching. If you liked it, and you can offer help, you want to see more of this kind of stuff, subscribe, like, and all that other stuff. I think that's the first time I've ever really asked this. Might be worth doing. Anyway, bye.